Your second fight with Maxie in Magma Hideout is usually considered to be one of the hardest fights of the game. It has permanent stun with the strongest Pokemon available, and you'd be happy to get out of the fight with at least half of your team alive. An exception to this, however, is his lead, Tyranitar. Normally you kill this immediately with a fighting type move, but its moveset is extremely abusable, so you can actually PP stall this. There are tons of ways you can PP stall of its moves, but I use Illumise for its simplicity. None of the defensive switches I use in this video are necessary as long as you have something that can tank all of the ancient powers like Agron, something that can tank all of the solar beams like Jumpluff, something that can tank all of the earthquakes like Illumise, and something that can tank all of the fire blasts like Corsola, or with your team a mixture of these. By using Encore Illumise, you may also notice that I was throwing Pokeballs mid-fight. This is a relic from Generation 1, where by attempting to throw a Pokeball in a trainer battle will immediately end the turn. It's essentially a skip turn button built into the game that I use to not run out of PP on Illumise. It's useful tech if you can use it on Pokemon like Wobbuffet too, and it accompanies well with Illumise's low PP support moves like Wish, which only has 2, and Encore, which only has 5. After Illumise uses Charm thrice to get to -6 attack, and mostly drains Earthquake, we can switch between Corsola and Jumpluff to stall Fire Blasts and Solar Beams respectively. Corsola can tank all 8 Fire Blast PP quite well, in addition to the chance that it might miss, but successive crits and burns could make the situation problematic. The nice thing about Corsola is, because it gets natural cure, all the burns that Tyranitar gets will be cured as it switches out. It's important that we use Illumise before Corsola, because at lower HP Tyranitar might use Earthquake or Ancient Power if its attack isn't lowered, and always needs to bait Solar Beam to stay on schedule. Eventually, after switching 16 times, we can get to the end of Fire Blast PP, and the AI will start using Ancient Power on Jumpluff as its highest damaging move. We can then continue pivots with Jumpluff and Agron, switching into other Pokemon on the Solar Beams to conserve HP, and going to Ments to lower Tyranitar's attack back down to -6 if it gets an AP boost. Your health can get a little dicey if it gets too many Ancient Power boosts, but 2 or 3 is entirely manageable, especially if you bring a 5th pivot into the empty team slot. Even if Tyranitar gets an absurd amount of crits, Agron is too bulky to take too much damage, as a crit only really deals around 15% of its health. After all 3 other moves are drained, the last move it should be able to use is Earthquake. We can stall turns by using Rage, but eventually it will start to use Struggle. Because Rage works differently than other setup, we need to take damage every turn that we use it, and this is the only setup move that we have access to. At +4 attack, Tyranitar now dies to a Brick Break that we specifically packed for it. Salamence baits in Flygon, which is slower and dies to a single Air Slash due to its poor defense. Exeggutor with Chlorophyll needs good IVs, plus 26 to speed tie, but at this HP you can live a non-critical hit attack. Gengar also comes in, is slower, and dies to an Air Slash, but you do need 16 speed IVs for this as well. The reason why Salamence needs +4 attack here is because of Arcanine's Intimidate. By hard scaling Rock Slide onto this though, it helps with that damage output to be able to kill it. This Entei, however, is especially a problem for many people, and it could just be worth PP stalling Exeggutor just to counter this if you are slower. Because of its high defense, +3 attack Rock Slide just barely kills it, but it will end this fight completely with no deaths whatsoever.